Hello, today we will be walking you through the ConnectWise Manage demonstration. We will be going a high overview level of what ConnectWise Manage is and how it can help you in your business. What you see here is what we call the customer's journey in relation to your customer's journey when they come on board with you. So we will be walking through a specific onboarding example, as we know that's something typical that a lot of our partners are doing today. It tends to be a struggle using other solutions that aren't quite as integrated or kind of that one-stop shop to do everything. And you'll be able to see that with our solution, we will be able to start at the very beginning with that awareness using our marketing tools and taking your client all the way through that onboarding journey, all the way to billing. And as we go from awareness to evaluation to purchase, delivery, support, and billing, some things you'll notice is that as we have those handoffs, you're not having to do any double entry. You're able to seamlessly pass that information from one team to the next or one role to the next and make sure that you end up delivering on exactly what you end up quoting or maybe even marketing out to those customers. As we go throughout this journey today, you may also hear some of our other products that we have within our ConnectWise suite. So ConnectWise Manage being that ConnectWise CRM or PSA that you might be familiar with today. But we do also have ConnectWise Sell for quote and proposals, ConnectWise Automate, which is for remote monitoring and management, and then our ConnectWise Control, which allows you to do ad hoc remote control support. And this is something that I will be highlighting throughout the presentation, but we will be focusing on ConnectWise Manage today. So to get started, before we jump right into the demonstration overall, I do want to highlight the different ways that you can access your information using Manage. So a lot of you may have offices where jobs where you're in the office and you work off of a laptop or desktop. You can use this desktop client that you see right here. So it is a .NET client where you can access all your day-to-day. On top of that, we do also have a browser interface. And as you can see, it's identical to that desktop client, where if you're out on the road using a tablet, you can still easily access what you need to manage and do throughout your day. Finally, we do also have a mobile application, and this is available through Android, iPhone, and Windows Mobile. So those people out in the field that need to access their calendar, maybe access customer information, or even log time and expense can easily do so. When your resources first log into their day, they can see information more tailored to them. So as we are able to define security roles tied to the different members, so we can easily simplify, how many modules do they see, what information is important to them, you do also have the ability to define what should they be looking at when they come in here. So they can see things that are due that day or things that they need to take care of. They can also have a dashboard view. So this is something that, as an owner, maybe I want to see information across my entire organization. But as a salesperson, maybe I just want to see things related to my opportunities. It's something where you can easily view a lot of information throughout the day. And as you create these dashboards, it's as simple as just hitting that new icon, grabbing a new dashboard or gadget, and then including it right there on that dashboard when you first go in. So I try to make it really easy to get all the information that's important to you. Outside of those dashboards, of course, you can have reports that we have throughout the system that you can schedule and see it, every Monday morning at 8 a.m., or it could be something that you run as you go. Today, as I mentioned, through that customer journey, we will be walking through the onboarding process of an overall customer. So you will be able to see how we can use ConnectWise Manage to start at the very beginning as that sales consultant and then ultimately wrap things up as that finance or accounting person. I would like to emphasize that within your organization, you may have some dedicated people who take on each one of these roles. You may also be one individual in your company who take on all of these hats. That's completely fine. The thing we'd really like to emphasize is that with any of the solutions that you're using today, as you have to pass sales information to the onboarding project or to finance, a lot of times information falls between the cracks. And that's what we're looking to help you solve and also add efficiencies in what you're handling. We will be starting off our presentation as our sales consultant. So as that sales consultant, we're going to walk through our opportunities, what it looks like in what we're managing, and then also how do we simply hand off that information to that next team. So as that sales consultant, I have my customer of Chris Craft Boats, brand new customer, we're just now bringing them on board, and I want to check in on their account. Well, when I come in here, we do have the ability to have all the customers that I work with listed right here. I could easily create a filter to view maybe just my account or my territory. But what's nice is we don't have to have just active customers in the system. We are able to have any prospects or leads, any vendors or suppliers in here as well to make it easily to manage that entire relationship with all these different types of accounts that we work with. As we go into the account that we're working with, this is what we call our 360-degree view of that customer. So this is something that as we start building out that relationship, I can see a history of what we've done here. So working with this company of Chris Craft, I can see my sales history, maybe open opportunities I have with them or things I've done in the past. I could see if they have any open service tickets at this time or things that maybe are still pending or being escalated for them. And I can also look at the Documents tab and just see if there's anything that's been stored here as far as NDAs, so disclosures that they've sent to us, or maybe there's a document that we've created specific for their account we can access at any point. And what's great about this is previously as that salesperson, I wouldn't have any visibility into this. I wouldn't be able to see in my one instance everything that's going on with the customer, especially post-sale. By bringing this all through here, now I'm not having to email a lot of different departments or a lot of different people to get a feel for what's going on, or if they have questions back to me, they can see my opportunity information in here, maybe that signed quote, and it's something that makes it just easier for communication. Now, when I first log into an account, you'll notice there's a lot of information that I can easily access from here. So if I come in here and reset to default, I would be able to see, basic company details as far as whom I'm working with, maybe who's my primary contact. But other things that are really important to me as that salesperson, I can take these tabs and drag them down into pods. So it might be nice to see all the opportunities tied to that account, and then activities too, so my follow-ups or to-dos that I need to manage. Another salesperson in the organization may want to have documents that are pulled down there, or a technician may want to have tickets. It's really nice because I can customize that based on my profile, and it's exactly what I need to see as I go in. The other really nice thing that we can do in here is you can create custom pods within those screens. So I have just an example here that I want to highlight where you can see we've put a dashboard in at that same company screen, but now from here, if I want to see how many open tickets do we have with them, or things that are scheduled that week, or in this case, 6-month revenue, I can have a nice little dashboard that I can view right from here about my account. The idea is that you have one place to go to get a lot of really great information about your customer. So again, I have this new customer, Chris Craft Boats. I want to maybe look back on the quote. I noticed that they hit their quote a couple of times. I'm a little nervous. Maybe they have questions about it. Maybe they're looking to reflect back on terms. To get to that, I can go to the opportunities and I can see that client onboarding one. As I come in here, I'll be able to review things that I've offered them from the quote and what's been tied into it. Now in this opportunity, just to highlight a couple of things that I'll have as a salesperson, I can have my forecast, which shows me what I've offered. So it may be a quick estimate, or in this case, line items of the services that I've offered them. And then I'll also, of course, have things like my stages and statuses to keep track of where I am. To get back to the original quote that I did send out, it's as simple as hitting this quote button right here, and it can take me back into my template where I created that quote, and then I can see, in this case, if anybody else is reviewing it, maybe my boss, and then again, go back, reflect on the terms that were there. It's really nice and easy for me to get to that information. And again, that quote was using our quoting tool, ConnectWise Sell. As we win that quote, all the information flows in. So if I were to make any changes to the services, that would come in and reflect that forecast by changing the products and maybe how many users they wanted to work with. It also brings over updated versions of our quotes in here. So if we had a version 2, version 3, that can be brought in to make sure we always have the latest information that's tied into this. Now, as they sign off on that quote, as I win that deal, I do have the ability that as I win it, it can very easily be converted into a sales order, ticket, project, or agreement. And what's great about this is as that salesperson taking on that sales hat, maybe you don't want them to take this next step. You know, we're just glad when they do their work and they fill out the paperwork that they need to do, but we don't really want them touching the contracts or agreements or really building out the project. When that deal gets won, we can automatically notify people that next steps are ready to be taken, whether that notifies an operations person to come in here and convert it, or a project manager to let them know that a new project's coming their way. And as this information gets converted, you'll be able to see we can create new or update existing, and we'll have the ability to bring over the documents, any notes, and also those line items or products that you saw there. In this case, you'll also see we had recurring items, so those could also go into an agreement and create that brand new contract for us. So off of that one opportunity, we can go multiple different directions and make sure that we're providing the customer with exactly what we've quoted. Right? So if we really think about that, as that salesperson, if I take a look at the conversions tab and I take a look at the project, let's say, that was created off of this, I don't have to email anybody differently to be able to say, hey, here's this project and here's what we scoped out. I don't have to make sure that I put any additional information into another system to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. All I had to do is get that customer to sign off on the deal, and all of that information can flow right here in these projects or right there into those contracts, making it much easier for no data loss or having to worry about all that duplicate data entry. All right, so as we can see, we have that nice project. As the salesperson, just want to make sure that it gets created or that it gets kicked off appropriately, and then my job's done. Now I can go into my next opportunity or my next activity that I have out there. Now, as we make those handoffs and we switch gears here, we're going to take that handoff from that sales consultant and we're going to take a look at that project manager's position. And yes, we went to the project from the opportunity, but as a project manager, I'm not actually going to start my day within somebody else's opportunity. That's not how I get to the work that's been assigned or that I need to take care of. So in that case, I'll be able to go to my projects in the system. And from here, I can easily focus on, here's all the projects that I'm responsible for, and maybe here's the ones that are currently being started or have things that need to be invoiced or maybe products need to be procured. I can have different statuses and different ways that I filter this to easily manage what I need. As that project manager, when I'm looking at this, it's really important for me to be able to go into a project and see any project milestones that are important and to make sure that those resources are being effectively used for that job. So as I come into this work plan, I will be able to come in and see, how big is this scope of work? Is it something that has a lot of different phases? Do we have different billing pieces in there? Do we have any dependencies? Those are all things that can be pulled in. And this work plan could be something that's brought in from that quote. So we could have quoted this out and actually brought this right over. So again, we're delivering on exactly what we've quoted to the customer. Or this might be something that as we have the new project, we have templates in place and we can easily apply it and then modify this on the fly based on our customer. So this is what can help drive our project plan. Then within this, we'll have different statuses, different resources, maybe hours that are placed against it. So now I can start to get a feel for what's going on with the overall project. And without just having to come in each time to see if maybe we're on target of actual hours versus budgeted, I do have the ability to automatically be notified as we hit certain thresholds of that project. So maybe at 80% and then again at 90%, I get notified, or I have a report that gets emailed to me so I can keep on track with the projects that are out there. As I get ready to schedule out my projects, then I do have the ability to come in here and I can see if there's currently any conflicts. So in this case, you can see that some people are maybe booked over certain items and I can open their calendars from here. If I'm looking to allocate new items and it's something that I need to look across the team and see who has availability, then we do have a calendar functionality in here. And we call this our dispatch portal, but this is something where I can have different members of my teams broken out. I can do a daily, weekly, monthly, or 90-day view of availability. And as you can see, I can see that project plan down here. So I can actually drag and drop items from this calendar and book it to these resources right from here. I do also have the ability to take items that I might need to move around and drag and drop them from one resource to another. So maybe from Ashley, I'll drop this to Houston's calendar. I can notify them both. And it just makes it so much easier to manage people's calendars to make sure that they're staying up to date. And with these calendars, we are able to tie in with your Outlook and Google Calendar. So as we're blocking this off, we can update those resources' other calendars. And if they have appointments in their other calendars, it can block off this dispatch portal here so we know not to overbook them. Because as we start scheduling them, we'll start to notice that their calendar changes color across the top. And as we book them a certain percentage, we can have visual indicators on, is it something that we need to look for another resource at this time, or do they have availability to be booked? So for us, if we look at that monthly view, which makes this a little bit nicer, we say that each one of our members can be booked 8 hours a day. So that's pretty typical for us. As they get above 80% scheduled, we turn their calendar green, which means, they're already helping us generate a lot of money, so green for money. Let's not book them. Let's look for somebody who has red or yellow, because red for us means less than 50% booked. So I quickly know that I can allocate work there. Or maybe that means we have to get a subcontractor or something if everybody's green. Those are things that we can start to notice from this view. This view here is that 360-degree view of my ability to know how my resources are scheduled. And even if you don't have set appointments or set times, if there are things that they have due on certain days, this is still a really great resource to be able to book that time. As we start booking this out, if we go back to the project, as I want to be able to manage my project, at the individual project level, I do have a Gantt view where I can start to notice what things are scheduled and where I might have dependencies within those projects. So you can see here, I have that nice view of this at that individual level. But then if I also go back to my projects list, I have a portfolio Gantt view. So I can look across all of my projects and see where they overlap or see where dependencies come in. And this is something where I can expand my projects right from here. I can access it from this view, so I would be able to see additional information. So you can see I can click right into it, and then I do also have the ability to extend it out. From walking through that, we have this project to onboard that customer. So sales made that awesome handoff, got this project to our project manager. We start onboarding them using that project, staying on track with how we need to onboard them. And then once they get onboarded, or maybe even during the middle of that implementation process, at some point there's going to be a handoff to your service delivery team, whether that's for ongoing support or any new requests that they have or issues that come up. They'll be able to reach out to that side of your company to be able to reach out and get those requests entered. So as we take a look at our different slides, we go from our project manager now into that technician role, taking on their hat, being able to see how they would manage their day. Now, as a technician, when I first log in, I mentioned from that Today page, I can come in and see things that I have due that day, and I also have the ability to access all my activities, which could be everything that I have to manage that's open. Right from here, I can access things that are on my calendar to easily start working on them or review any notes. I do also have the ability to go straight into my calendar. And this is something where you may have noticed so far I'm working across different tabs. You will have the ability to save these tabs. So every time you log in, there may be my calendar and my tickets that you want to access, and those are the most important things to you. Now from my calendar, this is where I can see those jobs that have been allocated to me, whether they're projects or standalone tickets, or even appointments that I've synced from my Outlook or Google Calendar. I can easily see that and just work right down my day. From here, I can easily access my tickets. And this is something that in the ticket itself, just like that company screen, I have the ability to define how I best work, or my workspace of how I'm going to manage the jobs that I handle. I can move these pods around just based on what makes the most sense. I can drag tabs into pods. And this is one of those views where we could also add a dashboard into here, where it might be nice to have that visual indicator if we have SLAs, how much time is remaining, or to see all the total time that's been against it, or survey scores, as you can see. So there's some things that you might want to bring in there that could be really nice. Now in the ticket, when I first log in, I can have a timer or stopwatch that automatically starts, and I can start putting my notes in as I go along. It is something too that if you don't need to track all the time that you put in there as far as per second, per minute, you can also just directly put your hours in. Maybe you work 2 hours total on the job. That's something that could be done by the team just right through here. As I have this ticket that I'm working on, I can review all the notes that have been done so far, so I can have a discussion maybe between me and the customer. I have the ability to see any internal notes, maybe from other resources. And then there is an all option where I may want to look at a combination of the two. But I can easily tell what's going on, easily add myself to those tickets as needed. From this ticket, I do also have the ability to quickly access any documents that might be tied into it, and I can even search a knowledge base. So it's something that if we have knowledge base articles from other tickets that we've worked or things that are fairly common for us, I can easily search it from the ticket that I'm working, and we may have documents or videos that are attached or different ways, key ways that we're going to be able to easily fix this item. And as you can see, we can start to get specific on who these knowledge base items are for. So as we're filtering it out, it makes it a little bit easier to find them. Okay. From the ticket, if this is something where I'm working directly with the customer and I need to chat with them, we do have a chat functionality that is an add-on, but it's something where you can do like an online chat to communicate with them. There is also the ability to do a remote control session. So I mentioned earlier that we have our ConnectWise control, formerly called Screen Connect, where we can do those ad hoc sessions, and if we were to connect to their machine, in the internal, we could log that entire session detail. So start time that we connected, any chats that may have happened in there, and then close time. And that can automatically log time for you as well if that's a way that you want to connect. Now to the other side of that, maybe you're not working directly with the client, but it is something where you want to use the remote monitoring and management tool that you have. We do also have our configurations or assets that can be tied to these tickets. Now in this case, this is one that is coming from our ConnectWise Automate solution. So in here, we do have our asset that's automatically being brought in and tied to these tickets, but we do also have quick connectivity to ConnectWise Automate. Whether I want to go into that computer management screen and do some things behind the scenes, or again, we can do our ConnectWise control, that remote control, but unattended access right from here. So we try to make it as easy as possible for your techs to get their work done as they come into these jobs. Now, if we take a look within this asset, we'll stop that time watch. This asset has the ability to have details that are coming from your remote monitoring and management tool. So I know I mentioned ConnectWise Automate, but that's not the only solution that we tie in with. If you're using other solutions out there, you still have the ability that if you have those managed devices, those can be pulled in and those details kept up to date. So you may have some questions if we tie in with your remote monitoring tool. A little bit later in the presentation, we will go to our marketplace where I'll show you how you can find out that information. So again, this is an asset. In this case, this is a server that's coming over from our Automate tool with the details being kept up to date. In here, we'll be able to have some custom fields if there's additional information that you need in there. And then we will also be able to have a service history, maybe attach any documents or diagrams to that, and then also any kind of contract if this happens to be tied to that. Some configurations that you end up working with can also be entered in directly by yourselves. So if it's something where you have, usernames and passwords that you want to keep track of, or you want to be able to store more of a customer knowledge base, things that we've done for them, maybe certain software that we've installed and customized. Based on those types or categories that you create, you can put things in like a warranty expiration, and we have some workflow around that to notify you as we approach it. But then you do also have the ability to store in any custom details. In this case, for phone, we have 5 fields, all text areas. But then you will also be able to do things like required questions and drop downs and radio dials. And that's so important for your technicians to have that one place to go for all of this documentation. What's really nice about that is, let's say you have that star technician. They do a great job for you. They know everything about your customer account, and they end up winning the lottery. Next day, they don't show up at work, and now we have to send in Jim to go out on site to Chris Craft Boats. He knows nothing about their environment. He knows nothing about how they're configured. He's trying to learn it on the fly. And a lot of times that can lose customer credibility. They might think, hey, we've been your client for several years and you don't know how we're configured. Where'd Andy go? Why isn't he out here working on this? So it's so important to bring all that documentation, or as much as you can regarding your customers' environments and how you support them. So any technician could cover, if someone's out sick, cover that information. They know exactly what they're doing. And with those configurations, as I mentioned, we can have that service history. So we also know how many times have we had a problem with it, or what have we recently done. All right. As I go to stop this, I can easily get my time in and notes. With these notes, I can go ahead and update the customer with that information. It is also something where we can send more automated emails, maybe including surveys, where they can reply back to respond to us, or maybe fill out information regarding their experience. As you can see, we try to make it really easy for those technicians to get their time in on time, because we know that's always a struggle, so that stopwatch could automatically be started. We try to make it very easy for them to access the documentation or other tool sets that you may be working with right from here. And then as they close out their items and they go to their next piece, they can just kind of work down their list or work off the queue to know what they need to handle next. Now, as your team's working throughout their day, you probably have a service manager or some kind of reports to who wants to keep up with what your team's doing. So this is something where I'll introduce one of our dashboards where we can come in here and we can see as our team's working on tickets, as they put time in, as they change statuses. So on this right side, we have a news feed that lets us see as they do those different things. And we can click into those items, access the tickets right from here if we want to investigate it further. On the left side, what's really nice is I can see how much time have they put in today already, and what's their average time per ticket. Maybe it's typically half an hour for certain jobs, an hour for another. And I come down here and I see maybe Matthew's spending 8 hours per ticket. Well, now I know there's maybe a training issue or he's not putting his time in correctly. I can start to catch that information a lot quicker. It's not something that I do after the fact once we've already billed the client too much or our reporting is off on our contracts. I can start to see that. And with these dashboards like this, you can have this up maybe on a monitor or a display and have it set to refresh to easily get to that information. All right, so we've done all this work for your clients. We've worked really hard with them. At some point, we're gonna get to billing. So you've sold them, you've onboarded them, you're doing this ongoing support. Billing gets involved, whether it was with that initial sales handoff and we did some kind of down payment or progress billing on those projects, Or now we're getting to it, we get them onboarded and then we start billing them. Whatever your process is, we can easily accommodate, and we're going to take on that hat as that accounting person. Now, if we think of the landscape of how accounting works today, they're usually completely in their own system. They have to wait for time reports to come in. They have to wait for those work orders or ticket reports to come through. They have to rely on sales to send them their quotes or any kind of information, which could take a long time. And then they kind of have to piece it all together themselves to figure out what they need to bill. Well, what we can do in here is, as you start doing the work in the system, we get that project in place, we get those products in here, we get that contract billed out. In this invoicing screen, we can see everything that's ready to be invoiced at that point. And instead of me having to run those reports and manually remember which clients had certain discounts or pull out that spreadsheet that lets me know who has certain rates, all of that can be applied by default to your customers. So all I'm doing in here is just making sure everything looks correct. From here, I can easily mass select and create multiple invoices at once, saving me a lot of time each month, each week, maybe even each quarter, depending on your billing cycles, getting those invoices out. Something that may take your finance person, 2 days or maybe a full week, now we can condense it into just maybe a couple of hours where they're checking on a couple of things and making it really easy to get these invoices sent out. Now, if we take a look at one of these invoices, I'll go ahead and walk us through it. With the invoices that we do end up delivering, you have the ability to choose what information displays or shows up for that customer. What ends up being really nice is you can create custom invoice templates right in the system, so you can end up having that invoice match the original quote that you sent out. All the same logos, maybe the same layout, information will match up. And again, there's no better feeling as a customer knowing that the company that you chose to go with has their act together. Their finance team is not sitting here going, oh, I didn't know you had that extra service, or oh, I'm sorry I charged you too much. I know that this company has their good head on their shoulders and they're getting things done correctly. And by automating a lot of those steps, I end up getting these invoices out on time, all the correct information, and it makes me feel more trust in the company that I'm working with. As I mentioned, on these invoices, you can choose what displays or doesn't display. You could create custom invoices, and you can mass email these out, mass print to mail. And we do even have a client portal that comes with the system where you can allow your customers to go in the portal to view those invoices, maybe to reprint it, or there are some online payment options they can do through there. Now, once these invoices are created, we can tie in with a lot of different accounting packages. So again, just like I talked about those different remote monitoring solutions, we'll go into that marketplace in a little bit and talk about all the different ones from there. What's really great with a lot of those accounting integrations that we have today is that as you pass those over and you start receiving payment in that accounting package, we can sync back into our Manage platform what invoices have been paid in full and what have been partially paid. So while we're not replacing your accounting package, you'll always have that. What we can help facilitate with is that collections process, which I'm sure is a big headache for a lot of people. This is something where you don't want to have to hunt people down or chase them down to get your money. Well, hey, they're 10 days past due that invoice date. Our system could automatically resend them their invoice. Maybe after 20 days past due, we can automatically create a ticket on our collections board. And now this is something where we can have some workflows and notifications to help us manage how are we going to reach out to your clients and how are we going to keep up with how much they owe us. So you can have a board or a queue dedicated to that collections process. We do also make it really easy that as a financial person, you can come into your company finance screen and I can see at that 360-degree financial view, here's all the invoices that have been sent out. Maybe I want to have a paid invoices view here, or open invoices more likely. I'd be able to reprint anything. I can look up past products that we've sold them or serial numbers. And I can even have my contracts in here where I'm setting what kind of billing do they have, or if they have discounted rates or anything that could be unique to what we're doing with them. This is a screen that we don't necessarily have to let everyone in your organization access, so that's really nice, where as a financial person, again, my hesitation of leaving my system is I don't want everybody to see all the finance, especially not to edit that information. So that is something that I will be able to restrict and only let certain people see it. But to the other side of that, how great is it now as a salesperson that maybe I can just view those invoices, not make any edits or deletes, but to know that the invoices off of my deals are getting paid, or to know, when they're getting paid, or maybe help follow up as that doesn't happen. All right, so we've covered quite a bit as we're walking through this process. One last role that I want to make sure we cover before we look at that marketplace and look at these other cool things is, we've run through the process from sales consultant to project to technician to accountant. At some point, the CEO is going to come in and want to know, what's going on? How is my business doing? Are we being profitable with these new customers? What maybe can we invest our time in to bring more revenue in? And that's something that, you bring these new customers on, you get really excited, you have those new relationships, but ultimately we want to make sure, are they good relationships, especially for our business? So as that owner, I can start at that very beginning, just like we did with the salesperson in the organization, and I can have a sales dashboard, whether I have that when I first log in, or maybe I look at this once a week, maybe once a month, just to see how things are doing. And I can see how many opportunities we have out there right now. I can see how my team's doing against their quota. Maybe as far as the leads we have, where are we in the funnel? And in here, just like that service dashboard report, I can access the data from here. So if I get concerned that we have a lot of opportunities that are probably past due, or a lot of things that are not being followed up on, I can click into those items from here, check in on them, and then maybe notify that sales rep right from there. As we go through and we, make those deals and we start working with them, I'll also have a financial dashboard. And this is something where I can get that snapshot view of how we're doing for that month. So this is something where I can see, here's all the services provided, projects that we're doing, contracts that we end up billing. Are we profitable? And that cost in there comes from labor cost, product, and expense. So two really great numbers that I like to show off in here is that, as an owner, I want to make sure, do I have profitable contracts with my customers? And am I leaving any money on the table? So in here, we have a column that shows remaining. And this is showing us how many hours are remaining that have yet to be billed. So we're in February, but maybe we were to look back at January and we wanted to see if there was any time left. We can come in here and we can look at it by company, or I personally like to look at it by member. I like to see which members do I have that tend to leave a lot of time just sitting out there. And maybe that's because they forget to close out tickets, they're not doing their process properly. I can catch that much quicker because I have talked to a few partners that before they implemented our solution, they would try to go back, 6 months later, finding all this money and talking to the customer and saying, hey, we forgot to send you this invoice. And that causes a lot of frustrations with your customers. They don't want to pay that, or if they do it very begrudgingly. And it's something that you never want to have to do that. But you also don't want to have to eat those costs because that's a lot of work that you're doing. So now you can catch that a lot quicker. And maybe you can automate a process from that where, hey, if I know Matthew's really bad at closing out his tickets, I can have a workflow that automatically closes them out or notifies us to follow up on those, or whatever it might need to be to make sure that we're catching that. To the other side of that, we want to make sure that our customers are profitable with us. So as we come in here, we have the ability to look at, by company, those different agreements that we have. And what's nice is, a lot of you aren't just offering one type of contract out there. You may have that bronze, silver, gold package. You may have managed services and cloud services and billing by users, a lot of different things that are out there. So that's something where you may want to break those up into different types because you want to see the profit stream tied to each one. As you go into it though, now we can break this down by company. And what's really great is, here I'm working with Brown Buford. I charge them about $1,800 a month, and maybe I expect to spend about 10 to 12 hours with them on average. Well, we're only at the 16th day of February right now, and we've already spent 50 hours with them. Our effective rate is only down to $36 an hour for the work that we're doing, and we end up leaving a lot of money on the table. We can see that work's actually worth $6,000, and we've only charged them $1,800. And so that's something where now maybe I want to look back at January and last December. Is this how that relationship was, or is this a one-off month? You can start looking at that information and maybe having those conversations with your clients where now I put them on a higher grade package, or sometimes you just got to fire that customer, but now you have that justification. So you can start to see where you can, again, automate processes or where you can get better data. And yes, this report only shows you that monthly view, but of course you can do, year-to-date views, quarterly views, and there's a lot of reporting right out of the box that you could get to use that information. All right, so this was just one example that I wanted to run through to highlight how you would be able to use our software, ConnectWise Manage, to run through that customer's journey of onboarding that new client. So just to recap, we started with that sales process. We were able to see how we could manage that opportunity and easily keep track of our sales information in that CRM. And then as we had that handoff to that project side, we were able to easily have information pushed forward. The project team was able to deliver on what we quoted, and then we were able to have that ultimately flow to billing. On the support side, the service delivery team is able to have the project information and sales information to know what's already happened with the customer, but then we're also able to manage all the customer information for that support delivery to know how we best work with them. And then again, ultimately, that all flows into billing as well to make it really easy and streamlined to get all the work that we're doing right onto an invoice and sent straight out to the client. So from there, I did mention a couple of other things or tools that you guys might want to look at. So while we can cover a lot of areas in your business, we understand that we're not going to completely replace all the tools that you're using. So we do have our marketplace, which I've mentioned a few times. So you'll be able to see it's marketplace.connectwise.com. This is something that you can access without a login, so that if you wanted to come in here and see a lot of the integration partners that we have, or integrations that we've built ourselves, you can view it from here. So on that accounting side, you can come in and see what accounting packages we tie in with and notes on how that works. On that remote monitoring side, you can see that different information. And as you can see, there's a lot of other pieces. So this is something where you will be able to come in and see a lot of the integrations that we have. But outside of this, you can also just go into Google, do a search. Sometimes they don't come to our marketplace, but we have different third parties or partners that build integrations. And we do also have open API. So if it's something that you want to work one of your own tools to be able to update or feed information to our system, that is something that you can explore. From here, we do also have our partner exchange. So something that's really great if you were to come on board and become a partner, and you'll notice I've said partner a couple of times. Let me explain that. If you were to buy our software, we wouldn't call you a customer. We actually call you a partner within the business because we really are invested in your success and how you're using it. So in here, this partner exchange, you'll notice we have things like agreements and project templates or even reports, where these are all things that other partners have built out or things that we've helped build out for consulting that you can import right into your system. So these could be templates, these could be emails that get sent out, things that you don't have to pay for, but that you can go ahead and start using without having to figure out how to do it on your own. So there's a really great community of our partners and users out there who really like to share and kind of pay it forward with how they're using the system. Finally, the last thing that I want to wrap up with is our ConnectWise University. So this is the area where you have the ability to basically learn how you're going to use the system, but also how to add efficiencies in your business and your process of what you're doing today. In this university, we have something that's really neat, that you will have an implementation consultant that helps you get onboarded with the system, but at the same time, we have these degrees in here that you can assign to yourself and other members of your team so that they can understand how to use the system. And we do it by role. So as I'm a technician, I know exactly what I need to focus on for certain videos. You know, how to put time in the system, how to work a ticket, what a customer is. Whereas a marketing manager, you know, I need to know how to send emails out. So there's a lot of different things that you can assign those different team members that allow them to focus on exactly what's important to them. Beyond that, we have a really great video library, webinars, how-to videos. We have blueprints that kind of walk you through the path. And what I really like is this partner kit library, where you can come in. I talked about collections earlier. If there's kind of an area or a process that you're looking to learn more about or get help with, in here we have how-to videos, we have checklists, we even have those out-of-the-box templates that you can bring right into your system and go ahead and start using. Again, it's not something that you have to sit there and figure out how to do on your own. It is something where a lot of these best recommendations that we have, we want to help you get started with. All right, so one thing that I want to leave you with there is that beyond, you know, the documentation and beyond all the information in here, we do have a very strong community. So I talked about the partner exchange being a strong community for partners sharing information out. We do also have user groups that we hold throughout the year all over the world where our partners can get together, share ideas, learn new things, but it's a really great networking opportunity, and it's something that really sets us apart from a lot of our competitors out there. On top of that, we end up having really strong discussion forums and enhancement forums. So those are things where you can contribute either to helping other partners on how they use the system, or even contribute on the roadmap of where our software goes, just based on what our partners' needs are. So hopefully today you got a really good feel of how ConnectWise Manage can help you in your business. If you do have any additional questions after this, you can either reach back out to the sales rep who sent you this video, or you can always email sales@connectwise.com and they'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.